Talamoana gamers. Welcome back to the Fiend Folio. Hold on tight. This one's rough. I hold a deep affection for the art and design of the early monster manuals and adventures. Their cramped black lines always make me feel like I'm entering a threatening world where adventure and strangeness abounds, much more than the colourful creature art of today. Having said all this, there is always an exception. It is today's fiendish fella, the Adherer. What a miserable specimen of a thing it is. Just look at it. The eye revolts. The Adherer is described as bearing a close appearance to a mummy. Now, I'm not here to talk mummies, but a slight diversion. I find it very difficult to grow excited about the mummy as an opponent. It lacks the visceral, iconic fear of the werewolf or vampire, and as a monster it largely acts as a zombie with extra steps. Slow steps, I'd imagine. It hasn't had a good movie appearance since the original, and before you ask, I don't count the 1999 movie. He's not really a mummy. He's a lich, or at most a necromancer. Sorry, Brendan. Regardless, I digress. The Adherer. As I mentioned, it's easily mistaken for a mummy, and here, and this is where the creator must have let out a shrill giggle of excitement, what you first take for bandages are, in fact, loose folds of skin covered in a sticky solvent. The Adherer uses this solvent to cover itself in twigs, leaves, and dirt to disguise its form, and then ambush prey, hoping to have weapons stuck to it, along with adventurers which it plans to eat. I mean, where to begin? This just sucks. A comprehensive lesson in how not to design a monster if you like having players at your table, or indeed friends. Come with me on a hypothetical. Your intrepid party is advancing bravely along the dungeon, squabbling and so on, and out lunges the Adherer. Ahead of you, adventurers, staggers forward a man, seemingly swathed in dirty bandages and coated in forest floor detritus. It smells sour, must it? And lunges towards you. Seemingly swathed? Why seemingly? Is it a mummy? Oh, I couldn't possibly say. Ridiculous. It's obviously not a mummy, or you describe it as a mummy. And anyway, mummies don't look like a lollipop a child has dropped behind a sofa. Never mind, your players think. Maybe our DM has temporarily forgotten the word mummy. Now what do we know about mummies? They're slow, but strong, and traditionally their touch is either cursed or carried disease. We should keep away from it, and pelt it with ranged attacks, and perhaps a spell or two. Congratulations, you've defeated the Adherer, who suffers all the same failings as the creature you must inexplicably lie to convince your players it is. Furthermore, striking the Adherer with a weapon means the weapon is stuck to it. A party will make this mistake precisely once, waste a player's turn, and then never do it again. Fun! Mummies' dry bodies and trailing bandages are also particularly vulnerable to fire, as is the Adherer. There is a pretty good chance your party will defeat your Adherer without even grasping that it is not a mummy with a fetish for rolling around in pine needles. So, the monster teaches you to attack it from range, except that it's immune to all level 1 wizard spells except Magic Missile, which does a custom amount of damage, because of course it does. I hate this stupid thing. I need the emotional support, Fishman. Its other sins are almost numberless. It only has a 20% chance to be encountered in its lair. The Adherer is an ambush predator, which 4/5 of the time you will stumble onto awkwardly when it's out of hiding, perhaps with shopping bag in hand, or doing a crossword. Unlike the other ER monsters, the wonderful collection of creatures that exist only in a person constantly poking around in caves ecology, the Adherer is lawful evil. It hides in piles of rubbish, jumps out at people. In what way does it fall under the umbrella of lawful evil? Tax avoidance? As a final disappointing hurrah, the solvent coating the Adherer can be dissolved by boiling water. It will take an entire large bucket to properly do so, and this will, to be fair, do damage to the Adherer. There are very few creatures that will view having a bucket of boiling water thrown on it positively, and unless the Adherer exclusively attacks during coffee breaks, or is besieging a Turkish bath, the chances of it coming up are remote. No sound for this fiendish fella, it doesn't deserve it. If your DM uses this creature to steal your weapons, hold them down and force-feed them dice until they promise to stop. D6s if they're a close friend, D4s on a second offence. 1 out of 10, rest in piss. Next time, oddly specific divine vengeance.